Yeah.
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to the 24th National RESC Conference and the 9th Conference on Language Assessment. As you know, the International RESC Conference, which is held annually, is a real boost of knowledge which helps the English teachers across the island. The Department of English, NIE, continues to work hard backing up the RESCs all around the island and organizing such knowledge sharing sessions. And this year's conference is based on mitigating the effects of earning loss due to learning loss. And this year, the focus is on the role of ESL teachers. We would like to beg your pardon for a slight delay due to some technical faults. So let's commence the day's proceedings with the lighting of the traditional oil lamp, which will be taking place virtually. Let me call upon the following dignitaries to do the honor. Our chief guest for the day, Dr. Sunil Jayantanavaratna, Director General, NIE. Our guest of honor, Dr. Darshana Samaravira, Deputy General, Faculty of Languages, Humanities and Social Sciences, NIE. Dr. Munira Hanafi, Head of Department of Planning, Research and Innovation, Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Mr. Orlando Edwards, Country Director, British Council, Sri Lanka. Ms. Christy Gilmore, Public Diplomacy Officer, US Embassy, Colombo. Ms. Nimali Badulalia, Director, English and Foreign Languages Branch, Ministry of Education. And Ms. Chapa Velagadara, National RESC Coordinator, Head of the Department of English, NIE, to do the honor. Let me now call upon Mrs. Chapa Velagadara, National Risk Coordinator, Head of the Department of English, NIE, to deliver the welcome address.
Very good morning to all of you. Those who are joining us today with the hope of becoming enthusiastic participants of this 24th National RESC Conference and the 9th Conference on Language Assessment. This is the 24th consecutive year that we, the Department of English, organizing the National RESC Conference, and 8th consecutive year in organizing the Conference on Language Assessment. Regional English Support Centers, commonly known as RESCs, are 31 in number and serving across the island, upgrading and updating the field of English language teaching and learning in Sri Lanka. The excellent and committed service of the RESC members contributes immensely in successful completion of projects in different spheres of English language education. The Department of English, NIE, shoulders the responsibility of professional development of the RESC members. Therefore, the professional development workshops are conducted throughout the year based on the needs assessment in order to ensure their work readiness with updated and upgraded knowledge, skills, and attitudes. As the National RESC Coordinator, I am really grateful to my forerunners, the former directors and the RESC coordinators, for their commitment in presenting such a strong foundation with a good mechanism which I can work ahead with. With that little note, let me welcome you all officially to the conference. First, let me warmly welcome Ms. Orlando Edwards, the Country Director of the British Council Sri Lanka, for humbly accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion. This definitely signals the long-lasting relationship that the British Council maintains with the RESCs and the Department of English, NIE. Next, let me warmly welcome Ms. Christy Gilmore, Public Diplomacy Officer to US Embassy Colombo, for her honored presence here to mark the strong relationship between US Embassy Colombo and the Department of English, NIE. I would also like to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Munira Hanafi, Head of the Department of Planning, Research and Innovation, Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. On behalf of the Department of English, NIE, and the entire Sri Lankan ELT community, I warmly welcome you to this conference, ma'am. Along with the keynote speaker, we are going to meet 5 more plenary speakers within these 3 days of the conference. Dr. Annalisa Zaman from International Languages Campus, Malaysia, Dr. Brittany Now, English Language Fellow, Dr. Niruba Jayasundara from the Eastern University of Sri Lanka, Dr. Aaron V. Aduan, Schools Division Office of Quezon City, Philippines, Dr. Saiki Kenneth, Independent Educational Governance Consultant from United Kingdom, and the speaker of the special ELT session, Mr. Vanyan Singham Paranthaman from the University of Jaffna, Sri Lanka. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome them all warmly to this significant academic event. Next, let me take the honor of welcoming Dr. Sunil Jayanta Navaratna, the Director General of the National Institute of Education, who is leading the NIE force skillfully towards Education 4.0, empowering us with the 21st century skills. Then we have here our Deputy Director General, Dr. Darshana Samaravira, the strongest pillar in English language education in Sri Lanka. He has experienced many RESC conferences during his period of service here at the National Institute of Education as the Director of Department of English. So I am honored to welcome you today to this conference, sir. Next, I warmly welcome Ma'am Nimali Baduralia, the Director of the English and Foreign Languages branch of the Ministry of Education, for this special occasion, along with all the officials who are here today representing the Ministry of Education. Next, I would like to welcome the university academics, both local and international, and the officials representing the NIE, the national and provincial authorities who are joining us today upon our invitation. It's a great encouragement for us to have you all here with us today. Next, I take this opportunity to welcome our provincial coordinators to the conference. Here, I would like to mention their utmost support rendering in organizing this conference and also in all other academic missions as well. Ms. Himadari Jayasinghe, Ms. Amali Vikramasinghe, Ms. Priyangika Valpolage, Ms. Chamari Andarage, Mr. Kandadasan, Ms. Buddhika Dhananjani, Mr. Lakmina, Mr. Vadive, you all are warmly welcome to the event. Dear teachers who are here with us today, the ultimate goal of this conference is to equip the RESC members with latest best practices in the ELT field in order to support you, the teachers who are practicing these concepts in the actual classroom scenarios. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the conference, thinking that this first-hand experience will be a motivating factor in your career. Dear RESC coordinators and members, this is your conference, and this time it is the Northern and Eastern Province RESCA shouldering the responsibility of conference organization. As the national coordinator of RESC, I'm truly honored in welcoming you all to the conference, considering this as the best platform to display your academic excellence as a team to the entire ELT community. Next, I welcome all the other participants who are here today to witness this grand event, spending your valuable time. Finally, let me welcome my own team here at the Department of English. Ms. Kalani Verosha, Ms. Krishanti Gikiyanage, Ms. Menaka Dhanashila, Ms. Nishanti, Ms. Nipuni, and Mr. Geet Tekanayaka, and the supporting staff, Ms. Kanchana, Ms. Hansa, and Ms. Swarna. I am so fortunate to have a committed and target-oriented team to work with. With all that, let me conclude my welcome speech by wishing you all a productive academic venture during this 3-day symposium conducted by the Department of English along with the Northern and Eastern RESCA. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam. Regional English Support Centers. As you know, the RESCs are a part of system with the ELT structure of Sri Lanka, which aims to improve the quality of English teaching and learning. Let's take a look at RESCs in action.
Sri Lanka, our motherland, is a small island in the vast Indian Ocean. Yet, as a nation, it has a high literacy rate, which is around 92%. The contribution made by the teachers to fulfill this requirement is priceless. Among the teacher population in Sri Lanka, there are around 22,000 teachers of English, teaching English as a second language in schools. Being nurtured with the care of National Institute of Education, the Regional English Support Centers, the RESCs, scattered throughout the island, provide support to improve and uplift the quality education by empowering the teachers of English. RESC is a center established to promote English language teaching and learning in every region. It empowers not only the teachers, but also the students in the region. And one of its important features is the ability to respond speedily to the difficulties that arise in each area. RESC provides a setting to study, learn, speak, and practice English. Each center has a well-stocked library with relevant and up-to-date ELT publications, fiction, audio, and video material. The RESC staff is experienced and highly competent who have undergone additional training to offer advice and guidance to both teachers and students. The RESC provides many valuable services in different ways. It is a physical location for teachers to meet and share experiences. Each center is armed with modern equipment which can be used by visiting students and teachers. It prepares and delivers various programs and workshops with an overall national framework. In addition, it is a venue for various ELT events, such as workshops, seminars, meetings, book weeks, and English days for local school children as well. The NIE plays a significant role in empowering the RESC staff. The Department of English each year conducts professional development programs on various topics, such as conducting action research, incorporating technology in teacher training, language assessment and evaluation. Every year, the Department of English takes the initiative to organize the National RESC Conference, which becomes an occasion for the RESC staff to meet in one single forum to share their knowledge and experience. This annual event gives them an opportunity for exposure to external resources, such as university academics, policymakers, and distinguished scholars. The Department of English of the NIE takes pride in organizing this landmark event every year in order to uplift the level of English education in Sri Lanka.
May I now call upon Mr. Orlando Edwards, Country Director, British Council Sri Lanka, to address the gathering.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I just check? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you can. Great. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Dr. Sunil Jayanta Nawarantane, Dr. Darshana Samarawira, Dr. Munira Hanafi, Ms. Chapa Wala Gadera, Ms. Nimali Baduralia, Ms. Christy Gilmore, and other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this invitation from the English Department of the National Institute of Education to speak at the inaugural event of the conference. I am not yet 2 weeks arrived in Sri Lanka, but I've been delighted by the warm welcome that I've received and touched by the friendliness and generosity of all the Sri Lankans I have met so far. Despite the incredible difficult past 2 years, it's a clear demonstration to me of their resilience, the adaptability and determination of Sri Lankan people, which I find both inspiring and impressive in equal measure. As many of you know, the British Council is an international organisation that builds connections, trust and understanding between people of the UK and the rest of the world through our work in education, English, arts and culture. And we do this in 2 ways: at an individual level to transform lives, and with governments and partners to make a bigger difference for the longer term, creating benefit for millions of people all over the world. We have been working in Sri Lanka for over 70 years, and throughout this time, we continue to support the government's aim to improve the quality of education for everyone, to create a fit-for-purpose, appropriately skilled cadre of graduates who have industry-appropriate education and internationally recognized qualifications to support access to employment and international mobility. British Council Sri Lanka is one of our flagship operations. We have teaching centres, libraries, arts and culture and education programmes, which provide countless opportunities for students, artists and education professionals to enhance their cultural and educational journeys. Having just arrived, one of my priorities is to learn more about regional English support centres, or RESCs, and the British Council's long-term partnership with them. My team have already briefed me on the crucial role these centres play in supporting and helping us to deliver our English language teaching training work under English programmes. RESCs have played and continue to play an integral role in the development of English language teaching in Sri Lanka. The first three were established in the late 1980s and early 90s, but there are now 31 covering all provinces across the island. From Hambantota in the south, Jaffna in the north, Chiloa in the west, and Batticaloa in the east, they're a focal point for teachers in rural areas to visit and gain access to ELT resources and training for their own development. These RESCs are valued friends of the British Council. They help us to reach out to large audiences and enable us to deliver our projects through various means. Without RESCs, we could not have the impact we do on the English language training in this country. I think it's well worth reflecting on what others have said about the impact of RESCs. I asked the British Council ELT team for some background reading on the RESCs, and that is how I picked up a work edited by David Hayes called Making a Difference, the Experience of the Primary English Language Project, Sri Lanka. This was published in 2002, and it reports on the PELP project delivered in the most part by the RESCs in the 1990s. David makes a remarkable statement at the end of his introduction to the collection of papers on the project. He stated, and I quote, "Independent impact assessment indicates that year on year, children taught by RESC-trained teachers consistently outperform children taught by teachers who are not RESC-trained." This was in the 1990s, so even back then, the RESCs were already getting very good press. Impact evaluations of the RESCs themselves and impact evaluations of British Council projects featuring the RESCs carried out over the years show similarly positive impact. The results of our 7-year National Development Bank Teacher Training Project and our 15-year Council for Business with Britain Teacher Training Project also demonstrate the success of our long partnership with the RESCs. Today, in 2022, our English Communication Skills for Remote Delivery project, funded by HSBC, is delivered by the RESCs to over 200 English language teachers island-wide. Since the start of the pandemic in March 2020, some of the RESC resource people have been involved in our online teaching training delivery as e-moderators, working with British Council trainers on our Improving Teacher Education in Sri Lanka project and delivering the 2 courses, English for Teaching 2 Online and Improving Teaching and Assessment of Listening and Speaking Skills. The pandemic created a learning curve for both British Council trainers and RESC trainers alike, and we've learned a lot from it. Once again, I would like to thank the RESCs on behalf of the British Council for their outstanding work year after year in their provision of training, resources and mentoring to countless English language teachers nationwide. And I'm sure the conference will be a huge success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for those words of encouragement. As we know, the British Council has been supporting the teachers of English in Sri Lanka, and the support you render to the country is beyond description. Thank you once again. That was Mr. Orlando Edwards, Country Director, British Council, Sri Lanka. Let me now call upon Ms. Christy Gilmore, Public Diplomacy Officer, US Embassy, Colombo, to address the gathering.
Hello there, can you hear me? Yes, you can hear
Yes,
me?
ma'am, you're audible, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm very delighted to be able to join you all today. Thank you so much for the invitation and for the very informative speeches so far. Let me start by saying thank you for the incredible, important work that you do by providing resources and training to thousands of teachers. I think the video said at least 22,000. I've heard 23,000 somewhere around the country. You are equipping Sri Lankan students with the tools they need to succeed in their educations and build their communities. We know that English language proficiency can open doors to more opportunities for young adults. It's a pathway to higher education, to studying science, and conducting business on a national, regional, and global market level. It can also be an important tool to help build stronger rapport with other countries around the world. I firmly believe that young people with great skills in English are going to be instrumental to rebuilding Sri Lanka's economy and charting its path into the future. So thank you for the work that you do every day to make that vision, that future, a reality. As others have said, my name is Christy, and I manage much of the English language programming that the United States Embassy here in Colombo provides in Sri Lanka. Ensuring that Sri Lankan students and teachers and trainers of teachers have the resources that they need to do their jobs is really important to us. Let me tell you about all the ways that we, the U.S. Embassy Colombo, supports English language programming countrywide. First, our English Access Micro-Scholarship Program is training 150 Sri Lankan secondary school students across 5 sites in Sri Lanka: Batticaloa, Ampara, Kalutara, Putlam, and Kandy. The 2-year program has been offered in Sri Lanka since 2005 and provides an English language foundation as well as builds leadership and communication skills. Students from Kalutara and Putlam completed their 2-year program last week through a closing ceremony attended by our ambassador, Ambassador Chung, and next week 60 more students from Batticaloa and Ampara will receive their certificates. This year's graduates joined the over 1,000 Sri Lankan alumni of the U.S. Access Micro-Scholarship Program. In these programs, our partners help young adults not only to learn English, but also to learn about the similarities and differences between Sri Lankan and US culture, society, art, music, and traditions. All of the things we have in common and all of the ways we can learn from each other. The Access program is a platform for engagement between students, US exchange programs alumni, emerging leaders in Sri Lanka, US diplomats, students, and experts. To support all of these goals, English Access teachers are trained to focus not just on providing English instruction, but to develop the students' leadership skills and critical thinking skills. The program offers training opportunities for government teachers, including virtually and regionally, such as sending English Access teachers to participate in trainings in Nepal. In addition to Access, the embassy offers English language fellows to support Sri Lankan educational institutions. Currently, the embassy hosts 2 English language fellows at Pastanrada National College of Education and SLIAT. And we look forward to building on these successes in future years, maybe even adding new host sites to the mix. As part of their duties, these fellows conduct teacher training programs across Sri Lanka through the Ministry of Education. We invite you to join fellow Brittany Now's session on English teaching methods tomorrow, December 21st at 11 a.m. The U.S. Embassy can also offer English language specialists who are teaching and training experts who can provide targeted short-term service. For example, last year, a virtual specialist designed an 8-week online course for special education instructors, which over 200 student teachers from Sri Lanka completed. We'd be interested in receiving other proposals for specialists if you have any ideas and particular needs. In addition, our American Corners and centers at 4 locations around the country in Colombo, Kandy, Jaffna, and Matara offer both classes for students and resources for English language teachers, including training in business English, English for entrepreneurs, and speaking clubs to develop speaking skills. Each corner or center has its own Facebook page with relevant information. Finally, we invite you to learn about our online resources, including our quote MOOCs, massive open online courses. My colleague Aruni Piras will be presenting on this subject today, December 20th at 2:30 p.m. So tune in for her. And more information about the online resources can be found at americanenglish.state.gov. And honestly, that's only the beginning. The U.S. Embassy also provides opportunities for higher studies through Fulbright and Hubert Humphrey scholarships implemented through the Fulbright Commission in Sri Lanka. And we offer small grants through our Small and Mighty program. To everyone here today, thank you for your dedication, hard work, and commitment to English language training, and for your partnership with the U.S. Embassy in Sri Lanka. We look forward to continuing to work together to advance our common goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. Your continuous support strengthened millions of teachers and students in Sri Lanka, and we are much grateful. That was Ms. Christy Gilmore, Public Diplomacy Officer, U.S. Embassy, Colombo. Let me now invite Ms. Nimali Baduralia, Director, English Language and Foreign Language Branch, Ministry of Education, to share her thoughts with us.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. So, Director General of National Institute of Education, Dr. Sunil Jayaratne, and Dr. Darshana Samaravira, Deputy Director General of National Institute of Education, and Mrs. Chapa Velagedara, the Head of English Department of NI, and all the academics and all the RESC members and dear participants. It is a pleasure to speak a few words at the inaugural ceremony of the 24th RESC Conference and the 9th National Conference on Language Assessment conducted by the National Institute of Education. It is interesting to know that the theme of this year's conference is mitigating the effects of earning loss due to learning loss and the role of ESL teachers. The theme selected is timely and apt, since we all know that the schools did not function properly due to long closure of schools during the last 2 years. The dedication of the Department of English hardships. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, RESC conferences were held annually as a physical event, giving majority of the ESL teachers to get together and update themselves on various fields related to ELT, from methodology to assessment, teaching techniques, etc. During the last 2 years, this event was held online, not forgetting to give the opportunities for teachers to engage in educational conversations. As the Director of Education of the English and Foreign Languages branch of the Ministry of Education, I must take this opportunity to appreciate the efforts of the Department of English at NIE for organizing this kind of academic event annually, whether it is physical or online. Especially, I must take this opportunity to appreciate the head of the English Department of NI, Mrs. Chapa Velagedara, and her team, and also the Eastern Province RESC members and all the members of the organizing committee, and also Dr. Darshana Samaravira for being a pillar of strength behind all these things. RESCs, we call it Regional English Support Centers. They have a long and a proud history of being an entity which provide support for English language teachers. RESCs are equipped with a well-qualified resource pool. who are appointed as trainers. What is special about RESC members is being teachers, they support teachers. In Sri Lanka, there are 31 RESCs located in different parts of the island supporting the teachers of English. More than 120 RESC trainers are appointed to RESC centers by the Ministry of Education, and annually, the vacancies of RESCs are filled to support the English teacher community at best. To empower these RESC resource trainers, the Ministry of Education and the National Institute of Education work collaboratively because the service provided by the RESC trainers is invaluable to ELT field. The NIE provides various capacity development programs to empower the RESC members with various knowledge and skills, since it is needed to sustain and maintain the quality and standard of RESC. The MOE gives the fullest cooperation to all the activities carried out by the NIE to strengthen the members of the RESC. So this RESC conference is not an annual event to celebrate the existence of RESC, but to exhibit their talents and capabilities to serve English language teaching community in Sri Lanka. Once again, the efforts of the organizing committee is highly appreciated in empowering the participants of the conference with present ELT practices. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I think during today, tomorrow, and the day after, the participants will get a lot of opportunities to engage in educational conversations and to be enlightened and to get more knowledge on ELT field. So once again, I highly appreciate the efforts of the organizing committee in bringing this event into practice. And I hope everybody will enjoy and get the maximum out of these 3 days. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and have a nice day.
Good morning. Mr. Orlando Edwards, Country Director, British Council, Sri Lanka. Ms. Christy Gilmore, Public Diplomacy Officer, US Embassy, Colombo. Dr. Sunil Jayanta Navaratna, Director General of the National Institute of Education. Our keynote speaker today, Dr. Munira Hanafi from Malaysia, Ms. Nimali Baduralia, Dr. Leslie Dick, and all the other dignitaries, including my colleagues from the RESCs, the Ministry of Education, and the Department of English NIE. I'm so much honored and privileged to have been here with you, I think for the 18th time at the National RESC Conference. The 24th National RESC Conference, I have missed 6 of them at the very beginning, but ever since I joined the NIE in 2004, I've been a part of this conference, and I'm so happy that you have invited me this year as well to be a part of this conference. Conferences are always great events for people, not only to share their academic thoughts, but to meet people and share their experience, life stories, and to widen their networks. But unfortunately, we have not been able to have physical conferences for the last 3 years. And I'm really sorry about that. And I also feel it, and I miss the company of all our colleagues from all over the country. However, as scheduled, the Department of English, NIE, has organized this conference this year as well, for you to share your experience, to share your academic knowledge and your best practices as usual. I want to thank all our international partners, the US Embassy, Colombo, the British Council, and all the other development partners, particularly Mr. Orlando Edwards, Ms. Christy Gilmore, Dr. Leslie Dick, and Ms. Aruni Piris for the tremendous support they provide the Department of English, NIE, and the regional English support centers and other institutes where English language teaching is involved to uplift the English language proficiency of the younger generation of this country. I really value it. And I want to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Munira Hanafi from the Department of Planning, Research and Innovation, Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Dr. Hanafi, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Particularly, I know it's because of your friend, Ms. Chapa Velagidara, you accepted this invitation and you wanted to share your expertise with the Sri Lankan English language teachers. I sincerely expect this as one step, but we need to continue this collaboration in the future as well. So I hope you will have your links with the Department of English, NIE, and Sri Lankan teachers of English, because I know your institute is playing a key role in improving the standards of English language teachers in Malaysia. Next, I want to thank the Director General of the National Institute of Education, Dr. Sunil Jayanta Navaratna. He has been behind us as a colossal figure of strength in when we organize anything, and he has given freedom to all the academics to go ahead, and the sky is the limit for them with him. Thank you very much, sir, joining us this morning. And I know it's a packed day for you. There are so many events, but you are still there with us. So thank you very much. I want to thank and congratulate all my colleagues from the Department of English, head of the department, Ms. Chapa Velagidara, Ms. Kalani Verosha, and all the other colleagues from the Department of English, and for their wonderful commitment. And if not for your commitment, this wouldn't have become reality. Next, I want to congratulate and thank the organizers of this conference this year, the RESC, Eastern Province. From 2012 onwards, we have been practicing this tradition, a province organizing every year's conference, and the pioneers were Southern Province RESC, and now every year in turn it comes to a province, and this year it's the Eastern Province. So Eastern Province coordinator of English language education and all the RESC colleagues, I'm so delighted that you have organized this conference in a wonderful manner, and thank you very much for that, and I wish you all the best. Then I want to congratulate all the conference delegates, the RESC members, and other invitees for joining us. And I hope this is right at the moment there are more than 280 participants with us. So I wish every one of you a wonderful time and knowledge sharing time at this conference. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm so sorry that you didn't get this opportunity to meet each other physically and to make it more memorable. However, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have a physical conference next year, and I'm looking forward to that event. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful conference. Share your knowledge, experience, and best practices. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful thought sharing, and may your dream come true. All of us here are also waiting for a physical conference next time. Our chief guest today, Dr. Sunil Jayantanavaratna, Director General NIE, will now address the gathering.
Aiban, Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum, good morning. I have very sad news to announce that one of our Deputy Director Generals, Mr. Jailal, has been passed away, and let's have a 10-second silence to respect him. Thank you very much. And here, Mr. Orlando Edwards, the country director of British Council, and also Christy Gallimore, public diplomacy officer of US Embassy, and our keynote speaker, Dr. Hanafi, and all other distinguished guests. There's a long list. I'm not going to read out all of them name. And Dr. Darshana Samaravira, Deputy Director General, and our friends. So thank you very much for inviting me for this great event, because RESC has been a great event annually, and this is the 24th time you are having this. So I'm privileged to have been invited as the chief guest of this inauguration of important event. That is the 24th National RESC Conference and 9th National Conference on Language Assessment. Now we are talking about 21st century skills and post-industrial revolution ready generation. Therefore, it's our duty to think again and revamp our teaching learning methods, curriculum, and assessment to inculcate these skills. As I always preaching now these days with our team, today we need a 21st century oriented human capital. Unfortunately, still we are producing so-called traditional 3R with subject knowledge graduates. What do you mean 3R? Reading, writing, arithmetic, and subject knowledge is essential but not sufficient to fulfill the 21st century skills and fourth industrial revolution to face with the challenges. So therefore, I'm sure this RESC conference and teachers all are gathering from various locations as teachers. You all have a big responsibility to change this scenario. First, we have to understand the novel approach, novel techniques, and all this novel thinking towards teaching and learning English. Yes, communication is very important, plays a vital role, but we have to inculcate 21st century skills to that. What is that? That means critical thinking, problem-solving skills, creativity, innovativeness, entrepreneurship skills, collaboration and teamwork, and communication. Communication, of course, the part of English, but on top of that, we have to add these other learning skills. So that is the challenge. Because just teaching English is not enough to make our student ready to face with the fourth industrial and even now fifth industrial revolution challenges. So that is our challenge. So learning loss, we have to recover. At the same time, we have to prepare our student to face with the 21st century. Not only that, but also to support the sustainable national development and sustainable peace. So therefore, this present curriculum has to revamp to cover all this novel thinking. So 3R plus 3L is essential. That is learning skills, which I explained earlier, the components. On top of that, we have to have literacy skills. So what are the literacy skills? We have to inculcate the information literacy, media literacy, then technological literacy, digital literacy, financial literacy, scientific literacy, and inclusive literacy. All these novel literacies has to be inculcated with these communication skills. How am I going to do this? That is the challenge. Then not only the literacy skills, but also the life skills has to be inculcated. What are the life skills we are talking about? The flexibility, leadership, initiativeness, then productivity, and more importantly, social and emotional learning skills. The social and emotional learning also should be part of our curriculum to make them ready to face with the challenges. So what do you mean social and emotional learning? That is understanding self, managing self, understanding others, managing relationships, and more importantly, responsible decision making. Now we can see this present education system is totally outdated, and this teacher-centered approach is not at all sufficient to inculcate these skills. For that, we have to introduce deeper learning or active learning, higher order thinking, blended learning, collaborative learning, authentic learning, all these learning techniques with your curriculum and teaching learning methods. So 3Ls or learning, life and literacy skills alone is not enough to make them fourth industrial revolution ready, but also we should inculcate 2 Cs, that character and citizenship education. In other words, attitudes and values and citizenship skills, like thinking about the country, then self, thinking about the society, then the community, all these things. So now we understand our present education system is not really designed to produce 21st century skills. Not only 2 Cs, but also the mindset and paradigms of how do they pursue the world has to be updated continuously by adding self-directed learning. So this is the new model we are promoting in Sri Lanka as the 21st century human capital. So as a part of English teaching, as the teachers, that is the challenge we are facing. How are we going to inculcate these novel tools, digital technology, novel tools and technology teaching learning methods, and assessment. More importantly, formative and summative assessment to our curriculum, teaching learning. So that is the reform we are talking now. So therefore, I humbly request this learning loss will not limited to the COVID-19 loss. So there are a lot of learning losses today. That means we focus only on 3R, reading, writing, arithmetic, and subject knowledge. The balance, life skills, learning skills, and literacy skills are lost badly. Character and citizenship is lost badly. Social and emotional learning is not inculcated in our education. And mindset and paradigm, updating self is lost. Therefore, I am very happy to announce that learning loss, due to learning loss, it's a huge concept today. So we should not limit this learning loss to only COVID-19. Comparing to that learning loss during the COVID-19 loss, the learning loss due to lack of understanding or paradigm shift of lack of 3L and 2L and SDL, self-directed learning, is huge. So our total responsibility with this British Council, US Embassy, and other donor agencies and whole professionals in the ministry and all of us, let's get together to make that learning loss to recover. That is the huge one. So if our students don't have creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, innovativeness, entrepreneurship skills, collaborative learning skills, that is the biggest loss, not just hours and days. So let's think, how are we going to inculcate those skills, those losses to our new curriculum, and let's make Sri Lanka a developed nation at least by another 20, 30 years. For that, we have a huge responsibility to work together to understand this learning loss clearly and define it and shift our mindset and paradigm towards 21st century and fourth industrial revolution and change our curriculum, teaching, learning, and assessment. That is my humble request. And thank you very much for inviting me as the chief guest of this event. I'm sure with this forum here, let's start think new and define what is our real learning loss. That is my humble request. So thank you very much. And I highly appreciate Dr. Darshana Samarabira and Chapa Velagidra and team who tirelessly supporting us to organize this, and also the director from the Ministry of Education, highly helpful, and thank you very much, and all the British Council and US Embassy and all the other professionals. Thank you very much and have a nice day. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear sir. Thank you so much for those wonderful words, deep thoughts, much to ponder over. And it's our pleasure to have you with us today. And your continuous support is indeed a blessing. Thank you once again. And that was our chief guest today, Dr. Sunil Jantanavaratna, Director General, NIE. Let me now call upon Dr. Asoka De Silva, Director, Department of Science, NIE, to introduce the keynote speaker.
Good morning to all of you, distinguished guests, dear presenters and participants. You all are welcome to the 24th National RESC Conference and 9th National Conference on Language Assessment. Now, we are moving towards the keynote speech of the day. For that, it's a great pleasure and honor to introduce the keynote speaker of the conference, Dr. Munira binti Hanafi from Malaysia. Dr. Munira is a lecturer at the Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Kuala Lumpur, also called IPGKBA. She is currently the head for the Department of Planning, Research and Innovation at IPGK PA. Dr. Munira has also worked at the Institute of Teacher Education, Malaysia, Cyberjaya, as an assistant director in the Department of Foreign and International Relations, Center for Planning, Research and Innovation. Dr. Munira has more than 22 years of experience in teaching English as a second language and teacher training. She holds a Bachelor of Education Honours in TESL from the University of Exeter, UK, a Master degree in Education from University of Malaya, Kuala Lumpur, and a PhD in Education from University Canterbury Christ Church University, UK. She specializes in reflection, reflective writing, and reflective practice. She also developed a research interest in new pedagogies for deep learning and led her team in a project which received the Best Idea Award at the 2019 NPDL National Level Showcase organized by the Institute of Teacher Education, Malaysia in Malacca. Dr. Munira believes that it is essential for educators to be skilled at technology, as it is key to develop effective learning. In addition, Dr. Munira is actively involved in many programs at international level, such as the Malaysian Technical Cooperation Program, International and Domestic Virtual Colloquium, and Cultivate Open Learning that provide opportunities for networking and collaboration between institutes all over the world. So please welcome Dr. Munira, and Madam, over to you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Thank you so much, Mr. Asuka, for that lovely introduction of my background. It's really nice to see all of you there in Sri Lanka, I believe. And also, I'm not sure if there are any other participants from other countries. Thank you so much for having me this morning. Dr. Sunil Jayanatha, the Director General of National Institute of Education, Sri Lanka. Dr. Darshana Samarawira, Deputy Director General for the Faculty of Languages, Humanities, and Social Sciences, National Institute of Education, Sri Lanka. Ms. Nimali Baduralia, Director, English and Foreign Languages Branch, Ministry of Education. Ms. Christy Gilmore, Public Diplomacy Officer from the U.S. Embassy, Colombo. Mr. Orlando Edwards, Country Director, British Council, Sri Lanka. A special hello to Ms. Chapa. Without you, I wouldn't be here this morning to share a little bit, okay, about my experiences here in Malaysia and also other places with regards to technology and English language learning. Educators, learners from Sri Lanka, colleagues, viewers from other countries who are here with us this morning via online. It is a great pleasure and honor to be here with you today at the 24th National RESC Conference and the 9th National Conference on Language Assessment with the theme, it's a very long theme, mitigating the effects of earning loss due to learning loss, role of ESL teachers. I thought this theme was, to me, it's very spot on. Okay, the word earning loss to learning loss is something significant. But I hope in my talk today, we could find ways to get out of the loss and gain something valuable. Before I go on, allow me to share my slides here with you. I hope I can do this correctly. Okay, just give me a second, yeah. Okay, can you see my slides well? Please let me know if you can't, or if you see other than my slides, please let me know, yeah? Okay, so before I accepted this invitation to speak as a keynote speaker for this conference, Ms. Chapa has given me a list of sub-themes and also possible topics, okay, for me to choose from. And so I thought one which I feel close to me and rather interesting to talk about is this one about technology, about 21st century skills, which Dr. Sunil has mentioned about. So the topic that I'm going to share with you this morning is called Integrating Digital Learning Objects in the ELT Classrooms. Now, for some of us, this may sound rather simple, learning objects, and they are digital learning objects, okay? But I'm sure for the past few years, our experiences dealing with COVID-19, there are many stories to tell about using technology to conduct lessons, to ensure that learning never stops. And this is something that I think everyone over the all over the world has experienced. And I'm sure there are a lot of stories to tell about the challenges, the successes, the things that you learn and relearn with regards to technology and also learning. Now, when the pandemic hit, people were in shock. Okay, most of us do not know what to do, and we had to stop and think for a while to find the best ways to get on with our lives, despite being forced to be isolated from each other. And I'm sure this is very difficult. And the impact on the teaching and learning process were great. Okay, we no longer can go to school. We are confined in our classroom, in our house, in our rooms. We cannot move. We see the same people all the time, every day. Okay, so I think this could be very stressful. And as teachers, I'm sure in your mind, in your thoughts, you would be wondering, how are my students doing at home right now? How do I get in touch? How do I give them knowledge and information? Because in the beginning, I think everyone were lost. We do not know what to do, and we were worried if one day that our job as teachers would just end and our children's process of learning would just end, because we don't know at that time what would happen next. Okay, so the impact of COVID on teaching and learning process were definitely great. Teachers had to think quickly about how to continue their jobs, to teach, and for the students to continue learning. So personally, at this point, I was glad there was technology. I was able to set up my classroom virtually and use whichever online platforms available for my teaching sessions. I was lucky that I have the knowledge and skills in using online applications and programs to develop materials and conduct lessons. Being able to communicate with another person was precious, because once to start to have conversations with a person, you forget that you were in a crisis. And I'm not sure about you over there, whether you have the same feeling at that time. And I also understand that in some places technology is difficult to get. Okay, meaning you do not have enough resources for technology, probably devices, or you don't have the internet. Okay, these are lacking. That was before the pandemic, and when pandemic hits, that becomes even worse, and you get more losses, right? Okay, but for those who have technology, it is a blessing for us. Okay, however, you need to know how to use the technology, to make use of the technology. If you have technology, if you have internet at home, but you do not know how to get onto the internet, now that's a problem. Okay, now the experience with some of the lectures here at the Institute, because we're so used to face-to-face communication, to have face-to-face lessons, that when we have to move from having this physical contact onto a conversation or teaching on the screen, we were quite uncomfortable. Okay, because for some lectures, we have to learn new skills of using technology. For instance, here we had to learn how to set up a Google Classroom. So quick training was given to the lecturers on how to do this. Okay. Now, the talk that I'm going to give will look into several things here. Okay, the first one, I will discuss briefly about the Industrial Revolution, Education 5.0, and 21st century skills. Now, all of these things, these three things here, they are connected. Okay, and then I will also look at how the learners are coping with technology and how technology supports learners' learning. I will also discuss the teacher's point of views and experiences with technology. And after that, I will zoom in specifically into digital learning objects, or DLO. Okay, what are the opportunities and the challenges learners as well as the teachers face in integrating DLOs in learning? And all of this, I will also discuss the impacts of DLO on practice. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I think as you all know, the evolution of technology is synonymous with the Industrial Revolution. So far, the industry involved, and we can categorize it into phases. As you can see here, it started off with Industry 1.0, focusing on mechanization, steam power, and weaving loom. And then we go on to Industry 2.0, focusing on mass production, assembly line, electrical energy. This is where factories started to build up, okay, in countries. Okay, and then we have Industry 3.0, automation, computers, and electronics. That's where robots started to be developed and built. Okay, and they are in our everyday lives. They are used in our everyday lives. And now we are here at Industry 4.0, where cyber, physical systems, Internet of Things, and networks are the main components being used, being integrated, interweaved in our everyday lives. So a clear example of the revolution can be seen in the tools that we use for teaching and learning. Okay, for example, here, okay. So we have here paper, right? Paper. And then we also, from paper, you transform that into books. So that's a progress from just paper, okay, into books, okay. And then we have the slates, okay, back then, and the chalk, and you use the slates and the chalk to write whatever it is that you've learned in the classroom for that day. Now, with advanced technology now, these three items that you see exist before industry 3.0 and 4.0. Now we're at 4.0. We have the tools, another version of the electronic of the tools, which are the tablets and the iPads. So technology and the tools for education, they go together. Okay, when there are developments in the industry sector, then the education sector will follow. And as human beings, we have to try to follow the trends, because if we don't, then we'll be left out. Okay, and when we are left out, then it's very difficult for knowledge to be spread, for skills to be enhanced, for us to be ready for the future. So the changes that we see happening in the world are all connected to each other, okay, as I said, and the industry sector evolved, and so does education. So the education sector has also gone through massive changes through 5 phases, as you can see here. Okay, so we started with the very basic, the teaching that we normally do in the classroom. Okay, and most of the time, the traditional approach would be the teacher, okay, teaching and feeding information to the learners. Okay, and most of the time, it's only one way. And I think it's bad of me to say this, but actually that's what I'm doing now, isn't it? Only one way. Okay, despite using technology to be in this conference, but it's still one way. But that's all right. We're coming to 5.0. Okay, we'll see what happens after this. Okay, and then education 2.0, focusing on research. So you did something in the classroom, okay, but we need to do more. So you focus on research. That's when you have action research in the classroom for teachers to look back, okay, to look back and to rethink about the practices in the classroom and what is it that you can do to make it even better. So research, okay, and then community service. Okay, so you would be doing something only in your classroom, right, with your students, but later on you feel like, okay, this needs, after doing the research, you feel like, okay, we need to expand on this. So we go out into the community and we spread, okay, we spread our knowledge, our information, our skills, and we support people or learners, other teachers in the community. So you give you give back to the community. 4.0, you're focusing on innovation. Okay, now you have understood the process of teaching, you have done your research, you have gone out to help others and to support others. Now, what other better ways, okay, can you do to improve the education system? So that's when innovation comes in, because we're human beings, we're very creative creatures, so we would think of ways to make things better, to make things appealing and easier. Okay, and now we are here at education industrialization, focusing on industrialization. So Education 5.0 is the use of new technologies to provide more humanized teaching, okay, with a focus on students' social and emotional development and solutions that improve life in society. Now, I feel that this is a very significant point to take, as many have reported that technology has made human and humanity obsolete. Okay, there were rumors back then when the use of robots will replace human beings, or the use of robots will replace teachers. Okay, so we have to think back. We're bringing back human values, okay, merging that with technology. Okay, another example of this would be the attachment we have with our devices, okay, especially our mobile phones. Okay, we feel like we cannot live without them, but how about our family? Can we live without them? So we need to return to the human touch or human conversations to make our lives more meaningful. And this is one of the aims of Education 5.0. Okay, so once we realize that, you know, at one point, technology is good. Okay, technology is good. It makes our lives easier. I'm able to photocopy my handouts and distribute to my students. Yeah, that's fine. But where is the value behind this? Okay, and I think that's what Education 5.0 is about. Okay, to provide more humanized teaching. We have to educate our learners that technology, yes, fine, there are machines, yes, very mechanic and technical, but there has to be some sort of human touch or values to be included in there as well. Now, looking forward to the future, okay, Michael Fullen, I don't know if you have heard of him before. He believes that learners need to be competent and skilled in 6 areas in order to function effectively in the future. And I relate this back, okay, to the deputy director who mentioned about the 6 C's of education. There are 6 competencies or skills that should be included in today's curriculum so that learners are more ready to face the challenges of the lives outside the classroom. Okay, and these 6 C's are character, citizenship, communication, critical thinking and problem solving, collaboration, and also creativity. Okay. Coming back to Malaysia, an example, we try as much as possible to include this in our curriculum, in our lessons, and we make sure that at least 1 or 2 of the 6 C's are included in our lessons. Okay, so this is one of the efforts that we are doing here with all subjects, not only for the English language teaching. And I will discuss this just a little bit later with the program called TS25. Okay. So in the 21st century learning, students master content while producing and synthesizing and evaluating information from a wide variety of subjects and sources with an understanding of and respect of diverse cultures. Okay, for example, through project works, students gather information from different resources, use various data collection tools to develop a project. They work together as a team and collaboratively. Exposing students to rules and etiquette with communicating and using online resources demonstrate good digital literacy as well as civic responsibility among the learners. In addition, virtual tools and open source software create borderless learning territories for students of all ages, anytime and anywhere. And this is a very convenient future which proved to be useful during the pandemic. Okay, so learners and technology, okay, when in schools, we try to educate our learners as much as possible about the things that perhaps they can do with the tools that they have, with the platforms that they can visit while acquiring knowledge, okay, while learning any subject for that matter. Okay, but also as teachers, we must also teach them to be responsible for what it is that they are retrieving, for example, from the internet or from the tools that they are using, okay, to learn something. Okay. Apart from the learners, the teachers too need to be equipped with the knowledge and skills of technology. Teachers now not only need to know how to teach, okay, but also need to know how to use technology in order to teach. Okay, they need to be familiar with the devices and know what they can do. Skilled teachers artfully incorporate technologies to enhance students' learning by capitalizing on their capabilities to support and promote learning. Understanding IT jargons, which often is very technical and for some may find it rather confusing. With technology, teachers can be creative. They can create their own teaching materials that are attractive and personalized, suitable for different level students. And with technology too, learning can become flexible. Both teachers and students can determine when and where to meet at their own convenience. Using and integrating technologies in the classroom indeed has shifted the pedagogical landscapes of the classroom. Now, I think in all of this, what I have said, I think the most important would be as teachers, okay, we already have the skills of teaching, right, to teach something. But when technology is included in our teaching process, that's when the teachers need to add to the skills of using this technology. Okay, and as I said earlier, even though we have good availability of technology in terms of tools, in terms of devices, in terms of perhaps financial support, okay, but if you only have the technology, the devices, but you don't know how to make use of them or how to use them in the lessons, then it's useless. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that as teachers, okay, not only you need to know the skills of teaching, but you need to know also the skills of how to use this technology in your classroom so that whatever that you're trying to develop or build in your lesson or in your classroom would be more engaging, would be more successful, and would be more effective. Okay. So this comes to my point of digital learning objects in the classroom, okay, or better known as DLO. Okay, what are DLOs? Okay, they are any digital resource that can be reused to support learning. Now, digital resource could be your PowerPoints, digital resource could be your videos, your digital resource could also be the images that you capture with your phones. Okay, now, however, the digital resources that some of them may not begin as digital materials. It could be materials such as you're writing on a piece of paper, okay? But of course, you can change this paper into a digital material or digital resource. But how do you do that? How do you change this paper into a digital object? Okay, that's where you need to have the skills of using technology devices such as the phone here. Okay, there are many features in your phone that you can make use, okay, in your lesson. Okay, now let me see. I'm thinking right now how to put, let's say that you don't have the luxury, okay, in your classroom. Maybe your students do not have phones, only you have the phone, right? So what can you do? How can you make use of this limited digital resources in your classroom? Okay, let's say only the teacher has the phone. Yeah, make use of that phone. Okay, you can write on a piece of paper, probably a story, right? Take your phone, use your phone to take a photo of that story. Okay, and then you can, maybe your students are seated in groups, okay, and then you can go from one group to the other and show them the story that you have taken, that you have snapped the photo with your phone. That would be one. Number two, they have written a story on a piece of paper. Okay, in the story there are objects. Okay, what sort of objects? Maybe there are mentions of places, okay, or trees or flowers. Use your phone. Go out into the world, go out from the classroom, find a tree and snap photos of the tree. Okay, and later, if you have the resources, you can print the photos out, okay, and put them on the essay that the students have produced. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, it is still possible even though you lack of resources. As simple as that. Okay, so I don't know, maybe later you can we can discuss about this further if we have time. Yeah, right. So DLOs have been used in education for many years, okay, even before the pandemic hit. However, DLOs was not a hit before, okay, because people have the luxury of being in the classroom, teachers and learners have the luxury of being in the classroom and have the luxury of writing on paper and in exercise books and having textbooks to learn from. Okay, so DLO was just there. Okay, some of us would not even bother looking into our Google Drive, not making use of the Google Drive. The only online application that we might use would be our Gmails, right, to send emails. Okay, but after the pandemic, all of these become very important and very useful. Okay, you start storing your students' work in Google Drive. Okay, you start developing materials, okay, using all sorts of applications like PowerPoints and Canva, and you also use Padlet, okay, to store and display your work as well as your students' work. Okay, so it becomes even more important, even more exciting. Okay, well, all these stuffs were already there before this. Okay, so today the way that we integrated DLO is more efficient. Okay, we store them into the clouds and design them to make our own. Okay, we share and distribute them via platforms, okay, such as Google Sites and Google Classrooms. All of this, although it says that it's free, but actually you're paying just a minimal cost, okay, for the service. Okay. It is believed that when we design learning objects or custom build your DLOs appropriately, that they could support the learning goals quite accurately. DLOs could provide opportunities and encourage collaborative learning between learners and teachers. DLOs could also help in solving complex problems in teaching and learning through teamwork and research. Now, teamwork and research here is another feature which DLO can encourage. Okay, for example, in project work, okay, as simple as having to store the work in one place using Google Drive. So you have to come together, okay, to put all the things in one place. That is one. Or each person has their own part to play. One person goes out to do a research on a background study of something, and then they come back and they report back, and another person writes whatever that has been reported by the first person. And then once it has been written down, then another person would take that and publish on an online platform, for example, on Facebook or Instagram and so on. So there you have a team of people having different roles, but producing one thing at the end. So that's teamwork, research, and project work. Over the past decade, okay, the Ministry of Education Malaysia has invested a considerable amount of time and money to develop teachers as well as learners to be competent and skilled in web-based technology. Through a national program known as Transformasi Sekolah 2025, or in English, School Transformation 2025, or in short, TS25, teachers are encouraged to use new and smarter ways in designing materials for teaching and learning English using technology. In fact, a TS25 is a program, it's a nationwide program, okay, which actually encourages teachers from the different fields to come together and to work on a project. Okay, now the aim, okay, is to develop superior human capital, just like what Dr. Sunil has mentioned before. Okay, through this program started in 2014, and it will end in 2025. So all the schools in Malaysia, including the Institute of Teacher Education, we are given training, okay, to develop programs, projects that integrates, okay, the different fields together, okay, so that we could prepare our students so that they can work effectively in the future. Okay, so in TS27, one of the elements is DLOs, digital learning objects. We purposely put that as one of the things that teachers and students need to know, need to use, and need to do when they learn and when they teach and when they produce projects or in school. Okay, so DLOs in 25 context is to drive students' development through pedagogical capacity for meaningful learning or deep learning. Okay. So as I said before, through this program, teachers are introduced to digital learning objects. And DLOs are believed to be one of the motivating factors that drive learners to be interested in learning. and in learning a second language. DLOs are helpful where teachers and students could develop materials which are fun and interactive, like e-storybook or virtual storytelling. And in fact, the integration of DLOs in the teaching and learning process is inevitably relevant, since most of our daily activities are dependent on digital technology. So we try to weave in the everyday practice, the normal day practice. Normal day practice would be us having a mobile phone, calling our friends, using our mobile phones, Googling what to eat for lunch, for example. So we use all of that skills which we already have, okay, integrate that in the learning process in the classroom, and then expand that a little bit further, of course. DLOs is believed to have great potential in the classroom, as it could support the learning of specific concepts by enhancing, amplifying, and guiding the cognitive processes of learners. The interactive and intersendent nature make content and material sharing easy. Now there are online repositories of learning objects openly available for teachers and learners to access in learning English. Excellent teaching curriculum could be developed collaboratively and more quickly. DLOs are cost-effective and eco-friendly, since there is no wastage of paper in preparing teaching and learning materials for a large number of students. Learners benefit from DLOs because they can repeat an activity as many times as required to gain a full understanding of the subject matter. Okay. DLO integration creates challenges too, however. For teachers who are less technology savvy, they might struggle in using DLOs and in setting up the digital materials onto online platforms for classroom use. Many teachers remain resistant to using technology in the classroom. Well, yes, nothing is without any problems, okay? And as human beings, again, we are reluctant. We do not like change that much, especially change that requires us to learn new skills. Okay, and for some people, technology is a complex skills. So that's one of the challenges here. Okay, and perhaps for some of them, they feel that it is a hassle to learn new skills, and they may think that it is irrelevant. Okay, teachers may face constraints in terms of cost, time, and equipment. They may need to invest extra time and energy in learning how to go about and implementing DLOs in their lessons. Freebody did say, okay, that teachers need encouragement and support to conquer the technological challenges that come with any innovation. Encouragement and support. So here, the teachers and even as the learners and maybe some of the parents too, because we're so used to having lessons face to face, sometimes that when we want to use technology in the classroom, some people would just reject it and feel that it is just too much. Okay, I don't want to learn how to post messages on Facebook. I don't want. Why should I do that? I can just call up this person, dial this person, and then I could just talk to them easy. Why do I need to know how to type? And I'm used to typing or spelling teachers, T-E-A-C-H-E-R-S, right? But when you use a mobile phone, when you communicate online, most of the time you use a lot of images and graphics and emojis. Now, some people, they don't get that. Okay, they just don't understand the emojis. Okay, so Furthermore, as we experienced it during the pandemic, keeping pupils' concentration and attention throughout the lesson when conducting online classes can be a constraint. There will be always a gap between the skills the teachers have about using technology and the learners' technical skills to use computers. There will always be a gap. Sometimes, sometimes we have this feeling of, oh, I'm a teacher, I should know more than my students. But unfortunately, in today's world, sometimes the students know more than us. Why? Because there's technology. Because some students, they are adventurous, they are curious, they Google things and they read things. Now, teachers who are more senior, who just could not keep up with this fast-paced changes, that they kind of, they don't go, they don't Google. They don't Google, they stick to the traditional books and read the books. They don't read books on the phone. So when this happens, there's going to be a gap. Okay, there's going to be a gap. So while there will always be conflicts between the two, but teachers and learners could also learn from each other. Okay, now the teachers have to come down a little bit and learn. It's okay to learn from your learners. Okay, learning can be multiple ways. You learn not only from your colleagues, but you can also learn from your learners, and you can also learn from other people. Okay, and this is important if we want to survive 21st century going into 22nd century. I think 22nd century is already beginning. Okay, so we have to prepare for that. Workshops are often organized to provide teachers with the necessary training and exposure to the latest approaches in integrating technology and developing digital materials or digital literacies for that matter. So what you see here is an example of a Google site, which us here at the Institute of Teacher Education in Malaysia, okay, we have to have our own Google site where we organize our classes, our students' work, our own work. And this is an example of DLO. The Google site is a DLO, Digital Learning Object, the Google site. Okay, so this is an example from my class. Okay, but my picture is not there. This is for another course that I have taken from. Okay, so here the students made this themselves. Okay, so what I did was, the first day that I entered my class, I told them, and these are students right from secondary school. Okay, secondary school, they finished the secondary school, they had the exam, and then they applied to become a teacher. And so they come here to our place, the Institute of Teacher Education. Yeah, so the first day that they arrived, that they were in my class, I told them that they have to build their own e-portfolio using Google Site and put all the materials from their tutorial tasks here. And at the same time, I also provide materials for them to refer to and read and do. Okay, so this is one example of the digital learning objects. Okay. So DLOs and their impacts on practice. So teachers have an active role in developing materials for teaching and learning with digital technology. Empowerment is given to them meaning to the teachers and the students to develop materials that are appropriate and suitable to be used in the lesson. Okay, so there's no more the traditional textbook. Instead, I could pick and choose the materials that I want to share with my students and put them my way in the Google Google Sites. And the same with the students. I would give a list of readings or materials or sites which they can visit, give them a task, and then they go out and collect information, and they come back and they present it and compile them onto their Google site. So I ended up seeing all the different ways that information are being presented and shared across the students in my classroom, but also they get to share this with students from the other classrooms and in fact from the other courses. Okay, a variety of approaches in teaching and learning can be used in the classroom, not limited to only face-to-face interaction or physical materials. Now we can combine the virtual world with the physical world. One thing that my students like doing, because everyone has got their own YouTube account, YouTube channel, so they would do a short video of, for example, I taught grammar last semester on nouns. Say they would do a very quick, simple example. They use their own friends to be the people in the video, and they put this up into YouTube, which of course is private, but the link is being shared onto this platform, Google site. Okay. Lessons can be customized, and this will make teaching and learning process more meaningful. So it is customized, it is made for my class, my students, based on what they like, things that they find exciting, things that they find interested in. If I were to go to a different class and I give them the same freedom to complete the same task, because the other class has a different personality, I would get something totally different, for example, from class A to class B. And this is very amazing to see when you give the space, the empowerment for them to do something, you can see a lot of creative ideas, innovative ideas coming through. Materials are easily accessed and can be stored away that allows for quick search ability. Materials and resources are reusable. Okay, teachers can adapt for use in multiple learning environments. Okay, and DLOs are manageable because they can be tracked and updated over time. So you don't have to worry. Okay, you don't have to worry whether it's going to be outdated or not, because you can always put something new, okay, to the lesson and the task. You can always update the tasks. Okay. So what's next? Okay, what's next? Okay. With the COVID-19 pandemic, life turned more digital. Okay, we have more online classes and distance learning, and CHAPA has experienced that this year through the Malaysian Technical Cooperation Program. Before the pandemic, we would have the program face-to-face physical here in Malaysia, but unfortunately, because of the boundaries that we have, we did the program online. So we could still carry on with the program, but online. And so CHAPA did not miss anything. It's the same content. It is only the approach that would be different. Okay. After COVID-19 pandemic, we have to maintain using digital technology. It doesn't mean that the pandemic went away, that we have to stop using technology, go back using the traditional way of being in a classroom, physical classroom. But instead, why not combine the two? Maintain using digital technology, improve, use more technology so that your lesson would be more exciting. Okay, we cannot stop and go back to the old way because that would mean we are going backwards. We need to move forward. Teachers and trainers who are still lacking on their technology skills need to catch up in order to develop more effective DLOs. Technology allows us to be flexible and creative, integrate online and face-to-face interaction, and create new ways of teaching and learning. Okay, and that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for drawing our attention towards a timely topic, that is Education 5.0. And I would like to open a Q&A session at this moment. And I'm sure that you are glad to clarify our doubts. And I think we have a few questions here. The participants, kindly feel free to unmute yourselves and to raise your question.
Ma'am, thank you so much for this very wonderful, very fruitful session that actually I think all of us, our colleagues, we have learned a lot from you. And I mean, this is a question and also a kind of a clarification like that. You've been talking about digital learning objects, and also you've been talking about that 22nd century is coming and that we can go for the blended learning. Like if we are going for now, the schools are open and now we are doing this physical teaching. And if we are going for a blended learning method or mode, so I think that, I mean, how come that we change the digital learning objects in a blended learning method? So that's my question.
Okay, yes, thank you very much for that question. Yes, blended learning. So how do we put the two together, right? How do we use something that is digital in a physical classroom, right? Okay, like I said before, one of the ways, now digital learning objects could consist of many things. It could be your videos, like I said before, your YouTube videos, okay, your materials, okay, your photos, all right, all those things. Now, right now we have started to have face-to-face and physical classroom here in our institute. So the Google site that you saw just now, the one that I shared with you, that has been used in my physical classroom, meaning I give the task, I still have the lecture, the physical lecture. Okay, I still go to my class. I still have the whiteboard. I still have my marker pen. I still write on the board. Yes, that's fine. But when it comes to the task, okay, the task, I would put my students in groups, okay, groups. And then I would have almost like a mini project where they work in groups, go out and find information and come back and produce something digital and combine and put them together, display them in this digital space, which is Google Sites. Okay, so then that is a combination of the two. You have the physical part of it where you have your live lecture in the classroom, and then you would have the materials which you also produced and also the students produced, and you compile them together. So that is a part of blended learning as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks, madam. Then I would like to ask you this question that some teachers complained that during the pandemic situation that they conducted online sessions, but some students had stress on it that while they were doing such lessons there, that is there any solution for this one? I would like to ask you that are there some remedies or what are something that we can do with the digital teaching? Then can you tell me something? How can we avoid such a stress when we are doing such lessons there?
Yes, I think not only the learners are stressed, even me, because one of the stress for me personally is to prepare the materials. Okay, you thought that having physical class, you need to read books, right? But when you integrate technology in your lesson, there's an additional skill that you need to learn, which is how to upload things, right? How to retrieve things, right? And it's the same stress with your students. Okay, now one of the problems that we faced during the pandemic is that there's not enough devices in a family. Sometimes there's only one mobile phone. The parents only have one mobile phone, but they have 5 children. Okay, and we had lessons. The school is on. Okay, the school, I mean, they have to go to school, this virtual school. So the only device that they have is the phone. So that is a big stress on the parents and also the students as well as the teachers. Because when the moment that you go onto Google Classroom or Google Meet or Zoom, you count your students, there are only 5. There's supposed to be 10. What happened to the other 5? Because you as teachers, you have to report to the principal, right? Saying, oh, only 5 in my classroom came. The other 5 missing, don't know. But the problem is that this 5 children in the family, there's only one phone. Okay, so relax. Don't stress. Don't worry about this. Okay, don't worry. There are always ways. There are always solutions. The solution is, how do you manage? How do you manage your lessons? How do you manage your students so that they, because in this family, they have 5 children, right? So 5 days. So on Monday, the first child would use the internet, they will enter class. On Tuesday, the second child will go and enter class. The third day, the third child will go. So the days that this first child did not enter class, the other 4 days, you give them materials, okay, for them to retrieve later on at their own time of convenience. Okay, you have to give that freedom. You have to be flexible. You cannot impose on the students, okay, the lesson is at 5. You have to come in at 5. If you're not here at 5, you are considered as absent. Okay? You cannot do that anymore, because the problem with that student is that there's not enough devices for them. They don't have, for one child, one laptop, or one child, one phone. And the internet connection is very weak. Okay, so you have to give them time. You have to give them time. You have to provide the materials for them and then tell them, okay, these are the things that we did today. When you have the time to go and retrieve this material, you go and read them. And then later when we meet next week on Monday, because that's the time, or that's your turn to use the internet or your turn to use the laptop, then we can discuss. So probably the process of learning, the pace of the learning is a lot slower than in a physical class, but at least there's some sort of learning going on. I mean, the process still continues, only a lot slower. So you slow down a little bit. Don't be so stressed. Just plan nicely, provide them with support. I think that would help both the teachers and the learners. And that's what I did during pandemic, because I was stressed too. Okay, I had to learn new skills. I had to prepare all these materials, and then I have to mark the assignments. And then I count my students, oh, one is missing, what happened? And then when I get to know that, because the students went back to their hometown, and some of them, their hometown is way in the interior. So they could not get internet connection. The internet connection was very bad. So in order for them to get even a single bar is for them to go to the main road. Okay, so it's the same everywhere else. Okay, so calm down, relax, and give more time, I would say. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam.
You're most welcome.
Excuse me, can I
Yes.
ask you a question? I have two problems because regarding rural schools children. So when we are working with rural schools children, so handling all this equipment.
Yeah.
Now in a classroom, there are many children with mixed abilities. Mixed ability groups are there. How can we manage? That means the technology, because learning styles are different. So how can we cater to all these children with different learning styles? And the other problem is if we have a limited number of material, that is machines or devices, it is a problem for us to share or make them share in the classroom. So I have those two ideas in my mind. So
okay, yes, all right. First of all, I'm not sure this is going to be of any help, but if I were you, I would look at myself first. Okay, what technology skills that I'm good at? Okay, and then how can I use this with my students? Okay, for example, are you good at typing? Are you good at using Word? Yes, okay. What about internet connection? Is it good or not so good? It's good. All right. So start off with something as simple as Word document. Instead of asking them to write, okay, on a piece of paper, ask them to type. Okay. And then after typing, okay, you have two choices. Either you can teach them to store their work in Google Drive. That would be one way. Another way would be emailing. So that's another skill, right? And as you are teaching them how to email documents, that is already teaching English, right? The language comes together with that. Okay, it doesn't have to be like, okay, today nouns, and then you teach nouns, but teaching them how to use the tools and the devices, that is also a part of language learning. Okay, and I'm sure the students would find that very enjoyable. Okay, and then after that, once you, for example, once you have taught them how to type on Word, and then share the document either through emails or Google Drive or even WhatsApp if you have WhatsApp, right? And then you come back to that, refresh their memory, and then focus on the language aspect. What words did we use? What word did I use when I taught you how to write or send documents? So then you can start picking up from it. So again, it's a very slow process, but it progresses. There's a progress one by one. Okay, I mean, you know, I don't know if that is helpful. Yeah. Maybe you already know that, but to me, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Start with something you already know. And then once you have tried, once you have done all the things that you already know, that's when you have to start learning new skills. New skills as in cropping images, putting one person next to the other. That is more advanced skills with technology. Okay.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
All right, you're most welcome. Anybody else? Are we out of time? Okay. I have put in the meeting chat my email in case you would like to contact me to ask any questions. You know, if you'd like, I'm not sure. I mean, you know, once that we're connected now to build networking, if there are courses available or, you know, anything at all, okay, you can just email me here. And my colleague also yesterday, not yesterday, tomorrow, Dr. Annalisa, you can also get connected with her as well. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you very much, madam, for that very informative session. And thank you so much for the participants for your questions. And that actually proved the real challenge we are facing, the real battle between technology and values. So thank you very much, madam. That was our keynote speaker, Dr. Munira Hanafi, Head of the Department of Planning, Research and Innovation, Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Thank you, madam, once again. And I take this opportunity to make a special request from the participants. The teachers who are participating, kindly make sure that you register your name along with the province you are from and remain with that name throughout the session continuously all 3 days. And also, if you are a RESC trainer, kindly rename yourself along with the RESC you are a part of. Thank you. And may I now call upon Ms. Kalani Verosha, Assistant Lecturer, Department of English, NIE, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Dr. Sunil Jayantanavaratne, Director General of the National Institute of Education, Dr. Darshana Samaravira, Deputy Director General of the Faculty of Languages, Humanities and Social Sciences, National Institute of Education, Ms. Nimali Badrulia, Director, English and Foreign Languages Branch, Ministry of Education, Mr. Orlando Edwards, Country Director, British Council, Sri Lanka, Ms. Christy Gilmore, Public Diplomacy Officer, US Embassy, Colombo, provincial coordinators of English from all the 9 provinces, distinguished guests, all the RESC members, and the conference participants. I'm so privileged and honored today to propose the vote of thanks at the 24th National RESC Conference and 9th Conference on Language Assessment. On behalf of the RESC family and the Department of English of the National Institute of Education, let me extend our deep sense of gratitude to our most valued guest today, Dr. Sunil Jayantanavaratne, Director General of the National Institute of Education, and Dr. Darshana Samaravira, Deputy Director General of the Faculty of Languages, Humanities and Social Sciences, National Institute of Education, for gracing the occasion as the chief guest and the guest of honor. We are honored by your presence here today and inspired by the thoughts shared. Next, our deep sense of appreciation goes to Dr. Munira Hanafi, Head of the Department of Planning, Research and Innovation, Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, for accepting our invitation to be the key figure at the conference as the keynote speaker. Thank you, Dr. Munira Hanafi, for the time devoted to share your expertise with the Sri Lankan English language community amidst your busy schedule. During this 3-day conference, we will get the opportunity to listen to 5 plenary sessions and a special session. We are really grateful to all the speakers for consenting to share their expertise with us. Dr. Annalisa Zaman, Lecturer, English Language Department, Institute of Teacher Education, International Languages Campus, Malaysia. Dr. Brittany Now, English Language Fellow, US Embassy, Colombo. Dr. Nirupa Jayasundara, Senior Lecturer in Linguistics, Department of Languages and Communication Studies, Trincomalee Campus, Eastern University of Sri Lanka. Dr. Aaron V. Adwan, Master Teacher, New Era High School, Schools Division Office of Quezon City, Philippines. Dr. Saiki Kenneth, Independent Educational Governance Consultant. Mr. Vanya Singham Paranthaman, Senior Lecturer, Department of English Language Teaching, University of Jaffna, Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to share your knowledge and expertise with the English language professionals in Sri Lanka as the speakers at the conference. Let me extend our sincere thanks to the DDGs at NIE, Mr. Ranjit Padmasiri, Mr. KWB MP Vijay Sundara, Visharad Sudat Samarasinghe, Mr. Anura Jayalal and Ms. Ranjani Jayawardena for their continuous support right throughout. Let me thank Dr. Leslie Dick and her team from the British Council Sri Lanka and Ms. Aruni Piris and her team from the US Embassy Colombo for the endless support provided to uplift the standards of RESC and to take this 24th National RESC Conference towards the success. Mr. Orlando Edwards, Country Director, British Council Sri Lanka, thank you so much for the thoughts shared. Let me extend our sincere thanks to Ms. Christy Gilmore, Public Diplomacy Officer, US Embassy Colombo, for the thoughts shared. I would also like to thank all the RESC members, especially to the organizing committee, the RESC of Northern and Eastern provinces, for their immense support and dedication to make this event a success. Your team spirit made us walk this far. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Shifan, Senior Lecturer from the Department of Teacher Education, for facilitating us with the studio and all the technical support. Next, our gratitude goes to the Assistant Director, Mr. Mohan Vijayaratne, and the staff of the Information Technology Service Unit, especially Mr. Madhushan, Mr. Nuwan, Mr. Subendran, Mr. Kavinder, and the Director and the staff of the Department of Electronic Dissemination, especially Mr. Sankar, for their continuous support in making this virtual conference a reality. Next, I would like to thank Ms. Augusta Antonimuttu for comparing the event with her charming voice. We are also grateful to all the dignitaries and the participants who are joining us today from all over the world to witness the inaugural ceremony of the 24th National RESC Conference. An event like this does not happen in overnight. It should be always supported by a dedicated team. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a committed team. So let me say a big thank you to Dr. Darshana Samaravira, Deputy Director General of the Faculty of Languages, Humanities and Social Sciences of the National Institute of Education, Ms. Shapa Velagedara, Head of the Department of English, National Institute of Education, and the National RESC Coordinator, the RESC of all the 9 provinces, and especially the RESC in the Northern and Eastern provinces as the organizing committee, all the members of the academic staff of the Department of English, Ms. Menaka Dhanasila, Ms. Krishanti Geekyanage, Ms. Nipuni Samarasinghe, Mr. Geet Ekanayaka, and Ms. Tamila Adishanti, the support staff of the Department of English, Ms. Gimhani Kanchana, Ms. Hansa Geetani, and Ms. H.D. Swarnalata for the true commitment shown right throughout. Finally, I wish you all the best and hope this 3-day conference will be a productive symposium for all of us. Thank you.
That wraps up the inauguration session of the 24th National RESC Conference and the 9th Conference on Language Assessment. The next session of day 1 will commence right after a short break. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure the rest of the days, including today's afternoon session, is going to be like a treasure hunt. Yes, a treasure of knowledge. So let us open ourselves to learn more and earn more. So this is Augustine Panamuthu signing off. Have a very pleasant day ahead.